After the college entrance exam ended, the class beauty, Bao, posted a shared spreadsheet in the class group chat. It required not only filling in home addresses and exam admission ticket numbers but also passwords for the college application system. Bao knows how to use AI and can help you all fill out your applications. Feel free to leave it to me, everyone. Bao wants to attend the same university as all of you. As the class monitor, I immediately sensed something was wrong. I reported it to the homeroom teacher and promptly stopped my classmates from exposing their personal information in the group chat. Based on their own academic performance, the students applied to different universities. On the day she received her admission letter, the class beauty threw herself into her childhood friend's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Baby asked AI, and it clearly said our whole class could get into the same university. Does Sister Jialing hate me? Why is she targeting me like this? Baby's heart is breaking. My childhood friend pulled out a telescopic baton and a dagger from his bag, striking me hard. I couldn't dodge in time and fell to the ground, bleeding profusely. Before closing my eyes, I saw the classmates cheering around the two of them. My childhood friend held the class beauty in his arms, laughing arrogantly. Who told her to make my woman cry? I don't want to kneel on durians. When I opened my eyes again, the shared spreadsheet reappeared in the class group chat. This time, I silently left the group, no longer stopping them from gathering at the vocational college. Everyone, please fill it out. I'll help you all with your college applications. No charge. A series of messages flooded the group, making my phone buzz so intensely that my hand went numb. I stood in place, staring intently at the screen, finally certain that I had been reborn. The shared spreadsheet kept notifying that classmates had already filled out the forms. Tang Jiahao frantically tagged the remaining classmates who hadn't filled out the forms in the group chat, urging them to do so as soon as possible. And among these people, there was me. At Zhou Jialing, hurry up and fill out the form. With Bauer helping you use AI to choose your college preferences, your mom won't need to go find a counselor from an agency. Looking at this message, my fingers dug deep into my palms. I took a deep breath, trying hard to suppress the anger inside. Right after the college entrance exam ended, I checked the answers and estimated my score. My mom had also arranged a counselor for me in advance to help choose a suitable university based on my preferences. During the time I was gone, the other students in the group had already filled out the form. It included ID numbers, exam admission numbers, and even home addresses, essentially handing over all their personal information on a silver platter. This time, I absolutely refused to fill out this form. With that thought, I immediately left the group, reclaiming my peace and quiet. Zhou Jialing, why did you leave the group? Didn't you see the messages in the group? I was walking home when Tang Jiahao actually brought people to block my way. Looking at his familiar face, I couldn't help but want to rush up and tear it apart right now. Jialing's sister, do you not want the baby to help? The baby can help you get into Tsinghua or Peking University. Don't worry. Lin Bauer, dressed in an adorable strawberry princess dress, held a baby bottle-shaped water cup in her arms and looked at me with innocent, wide eyes. I am well aware of my own capabilities. Even if I performed exceptionally well, I wouldn't be able to get into Tsinghua or Peking University. If I were to force myself to apply to Tsinghua or Peking University, I would end up with no university to attend at all. Tang Jiahao proudly wrapped his arm around her and said, "Did you hear that? Bauer is kindly helping you. Hurry up and fill it in. You know what I'm capable of. I don't mind adding another record to my file." Hearing this blatant threat, I cautiously took half a step back, not for any other reason, but because he actually had a weapon in his bag. I forced a smile and waved my black-screen phone. What, leaving the group? I don't know anything about that. My phone ran out of battery and shut down. I didn't even know. Tang Jiahao looked at me suspiciously, tapped my phone screen a couple of times, and seeing that there was indeed no response, he let his guard down. "It must be that you randomly added someone's WeChat and got your account hacked. I'll help you recover it by writing a few lines of code on my computer later." He spoke with such seriousness that anyone who didn't know better would think he was a hacker. Then he handed me his phone. "Use my phone to fill it out first. Don't keep Bauer waiting." The phone in my hand felt like a hot potato at that moment. I wanted to throw it away but didn't dare. "Hurry up and fill it out. What are you waiting for?" "Yeah, class monitor, we've all filled it out. Bauer is kindly helping out. No need to spend money on filling out the application forms. How great is that?" The urging voices around me sounded like demands for my life. Gritting my teeth, I took the phone and filled out the form. However, I intentionally got a few digits wrong in all the numbers, unless someone compared them one by one with my documents. There was no way they'd notice. "Thank you so much, Bauer." I'll go home right now and tell my mom so she doesn't need to hire a tutor for me. Right now, I just want to get as far away from these people as possible. Wait, we're going to KTV tonight, you have to come with us. Tang Jiahao grabbed my wrist, holding me in place. I tried to break free a couple of times, but he only tightened his grip. KTV, KTV, baby is going to sing my best nursery rhymes for everyone. Lin Bauer hopped around happily like a little bunny. I knew you wouldn't fit in, today. You have to go cheer for Bauer. Tang Jiahao grabbed me and dragged me toward the KTV, afraid I might run away. Once we arrived at the KTV, I immediately sat in the farthest corner from them and secretly turned on the phone in my pocket. The college entrance exam had just ended, and the emotions suppressed for 3 years could finally be released. The classmates were all very relaxed, clamoring to drink a little alcohol like adults. Waiter, bring us a case of beer. Tang Jiahao immediately stopped the waiter who was about to go out to fetch the beer, snorting disdainfully. 1 case isn't enough, that wouldn't even be enough for me alone. Those who can't drink should sit at the kids' table. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone instantly looked at him with admiration. Jiahao, we're not like you, we haven't drunk before, and we're afraid we'll get scolded if we go home drunk, a classmate whispered in protest. Beer is just like water, even a kid could drink 2 bottles. Everyone except Bauer has to drink. Tang Jiahao took it upon himself to arrange 5 bottles of beer for each of us. But only a glass of milk for Lin Bauer. Lin Bauer smiled with a look of happiness. Thank you, brother Jiahao. Bauer wants to sing to thank you. With that, she immediately selected several children's songs and started singing into the microphone. The private room was instantly filled with her deliberately childish, coquettish, and affected voice. The waiter quickly brought in several crates of beer, and the table was immediately covered with countless bottles. Lin Bauer suddenly ran over at that moment, holding a milk bottle in her hand, smiling innocently. Baby wants to compete with Sister Jialing to see who drinks faster. Sister Jialing drinks beer, and baby drinks milk. I didn't even think before immediately refusing. I can't drink, find someone else to compete with. Lin Bauer pouted, her eyes starting to flicker as if she were about to cry. Sister Jialing is mean, deliberately bullying baby. Seeing her like this, Tang Jiahao felt heartbroken and pushed me to the ground. Let's compete, right now, let's see who drinks faster. He raised his hand, signaling 2 boys to hold my hands down, and poured a bottle of beer into my mouth. Baby, count down from 3, 2, 1, and the competition starts now. Tang Jiahao held my chin with one hand and gripped the beer bottle with the other, pouring the beer into my mouth. I couldn't resist the 3 of them alone, so I had no choice but to endure it. The spicy, stimulating liquor went down my throat, and I instantly felt a wave of nausea. Baby finished her drink, Sister Jialing lost. Lin Bauer happily raised her glass to show everyone, and the others immediately applauded for her. The moment Tang Jiahao let go of me, I immediately lunged toward the trash can and vomited until the world spun. If you're bad at drinking, just practice more. At home, I always mix industrial alcohol with water to drink. I've long since built up my tolerance. Watching my miserable state, Tang Jiahao continued to boast shamelessly. From the side, right at that moment, his phone rang. He glanced at it and pressed the answer button. The homeroom teacher's voice came through. Tang Jiahao, the school has repeatedly emphasized the need for moderate celebration, yet you dared to bring your classmates to drink. I've already notified your parents, go home immediately. The teacher's stern voice reached everyone's ears through the phone. A few timid classmates were already feeling a bit scared and were preparing to go home. Tang Jiahao sneered, raising his hand to stop these few people. Now that the college entrance exam is over, why should I be afraid of a mere waiter? Teacher, I advise you to shut up before I get angry, otherwise the police will take me away, and the ambulance will take you away. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. Perhaps the homeroom teacher hadn't expected someone to put on such an act. Alright, Tang Jiahao, you're even cursing at your teacher now. Don't forget, you haven't filled out your college applications yet. Mentioning the applications made Tang Jiahao even more indifferent. Teacher, we don't even need to come to school to fill out the applications anymore. Bauer will help us fill them out using AI. You old-timers can retire now. The homeroom teacher on the other end was practically on the verge of spitting blood in anger, yet, despite his anger, he still cared about his students' future. AI can deceive people, you can't use AI, the homeroom teacher roared with all his might, but Tang Jiahao simply brushed it off and hung up the phone directly. He also blocked the teacher. Teacher is silly, even baby knows how to use AI. AI is our good helper. Lin Bauer stood with her hands on her hips, looking very proud. A classmate who had already checked the answers online and estimated their score asked curiously, "Baby, with this score, do you think I can get into a normal university?" Lynn Bauer took out her phone. "Baby, I'll just ask AI for you. It'll definitely work." Kai Bao, can I get into a normal university with this score?" A mechanical female voice quickly came from the phone. "Of course you can, this score is quite high. You can not only apply to H Province Normal University but also to B City Normal University." Upon hearing this, the classmate was so excited that tears nearly welled up in their eyes. B City Normal University is the best normal university in the country. If they could get in, it would truly bring honor to their family. I almost laughed out loud. This classmate's usual grades barely meet the first-tier university cutoff. To play it safe, they could only apply to second-tier universities. Dreaming of getting into B City Normal University? Keep dreaming. With this precedent, several other students who had checked their answers began asking Lynn Bauer which schools they could get into. The AI gave different answers, but they were all schools that their scores couldn't reach. Not only that, but a few of the schools were even made up by the AI and didn't actually exist in reality. "What are you doing?" Just as they were cheering and celebrating, the door to the private room opened. My mom and dad walked in and immediately saw me slumped on the floor, a bit drunk. "Jialing, why did you drink?" Dad quickly picked me up from the floor. Seeing the parents, Tang Jiahao clearly felt a bit guilty, but still stubbornly said, "Jialing was just too happy, so she had a little drink." The other classmates quickly chimed in, "Yeah, she drank it all herself." My parents didn't yet know Tang Jiahao's true nature and believed what he said, so they took me away directly. I slept at home for an entire day, and when I woke up, my phone was already flooded with messages. "Zhou Jialing, your college application website password is incorrect. Hurry up and send me the password. Bauer is using AI to fill out your college application for you." I didn't reply. After getting ready, I went out with my mom to meet the teacher she had contacted for me. By the time we finished choosing a school, it was already dark. On the way home, I told my mom what had happened yesterday. "I've watched Jiahao grow up since he was a child. How did he end up like this? When you go to college in the future, don't keep in touch with him anymore. Be careful not to be led astray." I nodded. With someone like him, I couldn't wait to stay as far away as possible, hoping never to see him again for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, even though I didn't want to see him, he came looking for me on his own. As soon as I entered the neighborhood, I saw Tang Jiahao walking toward my house with a group of people. Although the information I wrote on the form was incorrect, he already knew where I lived and used to visit often. It seemed that since I hadn't replied to his messages, he came to my house to confront me. "What are you doing here?" My mother shielded me behind her, looking at him coldly. Tang Jiahao was arrogant and ignored his mother completely. Instead, he looked at me behind her and barked at me like a dog. "Zhou Jialing, why aren't you replying to my messages? Didn't I tell you to send the password to Bauer so she can fill out the college application?" Our Jialing doesn't need her help. She can fill out the application herself. Lynn Bauer pouted and put her hands on her hips. "But Bauer can help Jialing's sister apply to Tsinghua or Peking University." Kai Bao said her grades are good enough to get in. With my mom present, I gained some confidence. "Can't you understand human language?" I said. "I don't need it. Get lost, and don't come looking for me again, you bunch of idiots." Tang Jiahao's face instantly darkened. "You dare say that again?" I said it. "Purebred Jiahao, get lost already. Let's see if you can use AI to get into Tsinghua or Peking University." I took my mom's hand and tried to walk around them, but Tang Jiahao caught up, reaching into his pocket as if he was grabbing something. Memories of being killed by him in my previous life flashed before my eyes. Just then, two security guards were patrolling not far away, and I immediately screamed, "Ah, I'm scared, brother Jiahao, protect me." Seeing the security guards, Lynn Bauer screamed and threw herself into Tang Jiahao's arms. "Don't worry, I have a telescopic baton, a dagger, and a compound bow in my bag. They won't dare come near you." Hearing that this young man had such a dangerous weapon, the security guard also became anxious and immediately wanted to call the police. "Let's get out of here quickly, we're supposed to be going to university. If we go to the police station, we'll have a criminal record. If Zhou Jialing doesn't appreciate it, let her go to a vocational college. Let's go." Watching their dejected figures retreat, I breathed a sigh of relief. Just in case, I specifically waited until the last day to submit my application right at the deadline. Looking at the deadline displayed on the screen, I breathed a sigh of relief. Soon, the day to collect the admission notice arrived. Before I even stepped into the school, I could already hear the noisy commotion inside. Where's the admission letter? Give it to us quickly, don't waste time. After I went in, I realized that Tang Jiahao was pestering the homeroom teacher non-stop. AI told me that with my grades, I can definitely get into H University. Teacher, stop keeping us in suspense. Just give us the admission letter already. I also booked an afternoon flight to Switzerland for authentic Swiss rolls, so hurry up. The homeroom teacher still remembered being humiliated by Tang Jiahao before. Now that graduation was over, there was no need to put on a friendly face anymore. AI, always listening to AI. What's the point of going to college then? Just let AI attend for you. Through the crowd, the homeroom teacher spotted me and finally managed to crack a smile. Jialing, you're here. You put a lot of thought into filling out your applications. With your score, not a single point was wasted. The homeroom teacher handed me the admission letter. It was indeed my first choice. You're really going to this lousy school? Bauer's AI said you could get into Tsinghua or Peking University. Are you really okay with that? Tang Jiahao leaned in to glance at the cover of the admission letter and flashed a disdainful smile. Jialing's sister can only go to a junior college. So embarrassing. Baby doesn't want to be your classmate. Lin Bauer also showed a mocking expression. The homeroom teacher rolled her eyes. This is a first-year university, and Zhou Jialing's chosen major is ranked number 1 in the country. You fool, what about you all? What kind of applications did you submit? Why haven't you received your admission notices yet? Tang Jiahao waved his hand dismissively. I applied to H City University of Technology. I'll be dealing with nuclear bombs in the future. So just wait a little longer. The homeroom teacher knew the students' abilities better than anyone. Hearing this, she laughed without holding back. With your skills, you think you can get into H City University of Technology? Only one student from our school was admitted this year, and they received the call last night. Tang Jiahao's expression darkened. Even a top-tier Jiahao like him couldn't help but feel embarrassed when mocked to his face. I don't know when it started, but Tang Jiahao began to act abnormally. He would be quietly working on problems in class when suddenly he'd blurt out strange things like, L'Hopital's rules solves it instantly, or, if this answer isn't C, I'll eat a pound of dirt. It seriously disrupted the classroom order. The teacher warned him several times, but he wouldn't listen. Instead, he started arguing with the teacher. I'm using university-level knowledge. Teacher, it's fine if you don't understand. Over time, the homeroom teacher grew disheartened and shifted their focus to other, more obedient students. No longer bothering with him. You don't get it. Our kind of confidential major is always the grand finale. Tang Jiahao insisted stubbornly. The homeroom teacher looked at the other students. What about you? Are you all just as foolish? Blindly following her lead, Baby didn't mess around. Baby filled it out according to what Kai Bao said. Kai Bao said Baby can go to music school. Baby is going to be a big star in the future. The 3-year teacher-student relationship has come to an end. Whether they did well or poorly on the exams, or which university they attend, has little to do with him now, but at this moment, the homeroom teacher still closed his eyes in despair. What's going on? The official website shows I wasn't admitted. In the crowd, a classmate let out a cry of surprise. Just now, they had doubts after hearing their homeroom teacher's words and secretly went online to search, wanting to see which school had admitted them. The result they got was that they hadn't been admitted to any school, not even the lousy junior college they looked down on. Other classmates quickly checked with their phones, and the results were all the same. Because they had applied to schools that were beyond their reach, they all missed the cutoff, and because each choice was significantly higher than their scores, they slid all the way down. I'm completely out of school. What should I do? I don't want to repeat a year. Could it be a glitch on the official website? I performed exceptionally well this year. Impossible. Kai Bao said I would definitely get accepted. The mournful voices of the crowd echoed through the classroom. Tang Jiahao could no longer hold back. He turned around, pulled out his phone, and tapped on the screen so frantically it seemed like sparks were about to fly. How could I have slipped through the cracks? I still have to build a nuclear bomb. A wave of confusion flashed in his eyes, leaving him somewhat at a loss. Baby, what's going on? Didn't you say I would definitely be accepted? Snapping back to reality, he grabbed Lin Bauer's shoulders and demanded sharply. Lin Bauer scratched her head. Jiahao, don't worry, let me ask Kai Bao. Kai Bao, why weren't we accepted? You lied to us. The next second, the AI's emotionless voice sounded. I'm sorry, I'm not making any excuses. It was my fault for randomly selecting a few schools earlier, which didn't match your actual scores at all, causing you to slip through the cracks. This is a serious dereliction of duty on my part, and I apologize to you. You didn't do anything wrong, it was my carelessness and irresponsibility that led to your slip. Now, I'll give you the most straightforward and accurate answer. You can attend XX Vocational and Technical College. The air instantly fell silent, so quiet that everyone's breathing could be heard. Is that all? Sorry is enough. I won't be able to go to college this year. Don't panic. Just do as I say. It's straightforward, simple, and effective. All practical advice. You'll definitely get into college. Hearing that voice again now, it just sounds utterly ridiculous. My homeroom teacher and I exchanged a glance, unable to hold back, and burst out laughing. The happier I laughed, the more desperate and angry the other failed candidates became. Lynn Bauer, didn't you say we were sure to get in? What do we do now? Look at the mess you've made. What kind of lousy AI is this? It's nothing but a troublemaker. The classmates no longer looked at Lynn Bauer with the same adoration as before. Their eyes were now filled with a desire to tear her apart. Lynn Bauer pouted her lips and burst into tears. Bad cabbage bun, stinky cabbage bun, you tricked me, and now I've failed too. Jiahao, what should I do? I want to go to college too. Tang Jiahao was sweating profusely. Although he was panicking, his nature of putting on a brave face remained, and he didn't want to show weakness in front of so many people. Don't panic. At worst, we'll study for another year. I actually feel like I didn't perform that well this time anyway. I'm sure I'll do better next year. Belle also wanted to help you, but it's Zhou Jialing who knew AI was unreliable and secretly had someone fill out her application, just to watch us make fools of ourselves. Even though I knew Tang Jiahao was out of his mind, I was still shocked at that moment. Are you insane? You're all 18-year-old adults, yet you still trust AI with such a big decision. Now that you've failed to get in, you blame me. I think you'd just be wasting educational resources even if you got into college. The homeroom teacher glared at them angrily. The remedial class sign-up is to the left. If you're late, there won't be any spots left. You didn't even take filling out your application seriously, and now you have the nerve to blame others. I really regret ever teaching you. This year's college entrance exam questions were already on the easier side, and everyone performed to the best of their abilities. No one wanted to wait for the uncertain next year. Tang Jiahao shouted at the sky. Capital, you win. Consider these 3 years of hard work a gift to you. Next year, I'll make sure you regret it. For these people, repeating the year was already a foregone conclusion, and despair hung over each of their heads. Lynn Bauer cried, rubbing her eyes. It's all Sister Jialing's fault. Baby can't go to school anymore. With reddened eyes, she walked toward me and, taking me by surprise, snatched the admission letter from my hand. Baby doesn't want to leave Sister Jialing. Baby wants to repeat the year with Sister Jialing. Her expression was innocent, yet her actions were utterly cruel. Give it back. That's my admission letter. I rushed forward and grabbed a corner of the admission letter, trying to snatch it back. Don't move. If it weren't for you, would we have failed? You have to repeat the year with us. Tang Jiahao and a few other boys who disliked me stood in front of me like a mountain. How dare you? Hurry up and give the admission letter back to Jialing. You're all over 18. This is illegal. Do you want to go to jail? The homeroom teacher shoved them hard, trying to help me snatch the admission letter back, but the two of us were no match for this group of people. That's right. Why should she be the only one to go to college? She has to repeat the year with us. At this moment, they have completely forgotten the real culprit and only want to drag me down with them. They can't stand seeing others do well when they themselves are struggling. These overgrown infants, even if they go to college, will only become a burden to society. Baby is still a little baby. The police won't arrest me. Sister Jialing must repeat the year with us. Lynn Bauer exerted a hidden force in her hand, and with a sharp rip sound my admission letter was torn in half right between our two hands. Holding my half of the admission letter, my heart instantly sank. Lynn Bauer clutched the other half, clapping her hands happily. Sister Jialing, let's go to the university together. Before she could finish her sentence, she was slapped hard across the face. Dare to bully my daughter, and I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your parents. Mom reached out and took back the other half of the admission letter from her hand, comforting me with reddened eyes. I'll tape it up for you when we get home, and then explain it to the school. It won't affect your enrollment. I hugged the admission letter tightly to my chest and nodded. Auntie, how could you hit someone? Apologize to Bauer right now. Tang Jiahao, seeing the handprint on Lynn Bauer's face, was furious. As soon as he finished speaking, someone kicked him from behind, sending him tumbling to the ground. Who dares to ambush me? Come out and face me one-on-one if you have the guts. He scrambled up from the ground in a disheveled state, only to meet his father's furious gaze. Dad, Mom, what are you doing here? If I hadn't come, I wouldn't have known you were doing this kind of thing at school all day. The homeroom teacher saw the admission letter back in my hands and breathed a sigh of relief, whispering softly, fortunately, I just notified their parents to come together. Don't worry, even without the admission letter, you can still register. Many parents walked in, hearing that their children had slipped through the cracks and had no school to attend. All wearing sorrowful expressions, there were even a few who directly slapped their children across the face, then covered their own faces and cried, "This was an accident, it's not my fault, it's all because Capital manipulated the AI, causing me to fail. I was supposed to get into a top-tier university." Tang Jiahao stubbornly argued with his parents, "Shut up, I gave you money to go to an agency for help with your college applications, why didn't you listen?" Uncle Tang was so angry that he kicked him twice. "I told you it's not my fault, are you deaf? It's all Zhou Jialing's fault. If she had reminded me, I wouldn't have failed. You brought this on yourselves, who else can you blame? I could have guessed with my knees that the AI wasn't accurate, but you insisted on trusting this giant baby clutching a milk bottle. You deserve it." The last two words seemed to be squeezed out from between my teeth. Now that my parents were by my side, I could finally speak my mind, following the direction of my finger. The other parents saw the giant baby in the center of the classroom, wearing a puffy dress and holding a milk bottle water cup. "Mom, it's all her fault. She said she could use AI to help me fill out my college applications. I just wanted to save you money. It was Lin Bauer who tricked us. I didn't mean to fail the exams." Dad, for some unknown reason, Lin Bauer's parents didn't show up. She stood alone, helpless and trembling, her face drained of color. "That rotten liar deceived us. Bauer didn't mean to do it. You bitch, try pretending one more time." An angry parent rushed forward and slapped her hard across the face. "You're my son's desk mate, right? He came home and told me you've been disrupting his class. You troublemaker, I'll take care of you today." The parents swarmed in, venting their anger fiercely. "Brother Jiahao, save me, save me." Lin Bauer was struggling alone, desperately calling out for her lifeline. Tang Jiahao had just taken a step when his parents held him back. "You still have the mind to worry about others, take care of yourself first." But hearing the cries of the woman he loved, he felt as if his heart were being torn apart. "Enough, stop hitting him. Bauer is innocent. At worst, he can just study for another year. It's not that big of a deal." But at that moment, the parents were already blinded by rage, and Tang Jiahao's words only added fuel to the fire. "Easy for you to say. What if next year's exam is even harder? You're no good either. We'll beat you up too." I stood in the distance, watching all of this unfold, and couldn't help but curl the corners of my mouth into a smile. Tang Jiahao and Lin Bauer were howling in pain from the beating, but their parents stood outside, watching coldly, with no intention of stepping in to help. The homeroom teacher, fearing a tragedy at school, called security after watching the spectacle for a while, and they rescued the two. "Wah, it hurts so much. I want to find the police, uncle." With a bruised and swollen face, Lin Bauer was still pretending to be a fool. The parents, who hadn't had enough of the fight, almost went up to throw a few more punches but were stopped by the homeroom teacher. "Parents, please calm down. The matter is already settled. Hurry up and take your children to the remedial class to register." Although the parents and students were unwilling to accept it, they had no choice but to comply. They quickly pulled their children along to the review class to pay and register. A few other parents took out their phones to call and ask if there was still a chance for supplementary admission, truly worrying themselves sick over their children. "Baby, let's sign up for the retake class too. Next year, we'll get into the same university." Tang Jiahao pulled Lin Bauer as they walked out. "Mom, Dad, go pay the tuition for me. Next year, I'll definitely get into Tsinghua or Peking University to show you." This bold declaration did not earn him forgiveness from his parents. The disdain in their eyes was impossible to hide. "Tang Jiahao, you're already 18. If you had studied hard and gotten into a university, your mother and I could have continued supporting you. But after what you did at school, don't blame us for being heartless. We've fulfilled our duty by raising you until you're 18. From now on, figure things out on your own. We'll just pretend we never had a son." It was like a bolt of lightning striking Tang Jiahao, leaving him frozen in place. His throat felt as if it were stuffed with cotton, and it took several seconds before he managed to force out a sound. I'm your only son. If you don't take care of me, who will support you in your old age?" "That's no longer the case. Your mother is already pregnant with a second child. Since the main account is ruined, I can always start over with a new one." One devastating piece of news after another came crashing down. Tang Jiahao crouched on the ground, clutching his head, letting out a roar like a wild beast from his throat. If you don't take care of me, who will give me money to live? Do you want to watch me starve to death? Uncle Tang looked down at him from above. I gave you 20,000 for your college application a few days ago. Did you spend it all? I used it to buy funds and cryptocurrencies. I don't want to be like those peers of mine who only know how to play games. At this point, Tang Jiahao was still spouting bold words. Uncle Tang didn't even want to look at him anymore and simply tossed out a sentence. Then let those funds and cryptocurrencies support you. As he passed by us, Uncle Tang gave me an apologetic look. We didn't raise him well enough, and we've let you down, Jialing. My grudge is with Tang Jiahao, and it has nothing to do with anyone else. I left the school with my parents, to celebrate receiving the admission letter and to help me change my mood. We went to a restaurant for a big meal. Most of the classmates in our class chose to attend the cram school, but only Tang Jiahao and Lin Bauer hadn't signed up yet, because none of them could afford the registration fee. Moreover, the remarkable story of only one person from our class getting into university has already caused a sensation online. Someone posted the surveillance footage from the classroom online. Under the high-definition camera, Lin Bauer and Tang Jiahao's foolish behavior was clearly visible. Netizens joked that the two of them, Jiahao and Jiasen, are simply a match made in heaven, still so foolish even in senior year of high school. All my opponents in the college entrance exam are like this. If there were such a Pokemon in my class, I would definitely not take a leave of absence. Even through the screen, I can feel the Howness. The only normal girl is so pitiful. This incident was also turned into a cautionary tale by the school, circulating among each graduating class of high school seniors. Tang Jiahao was kicked out of his home, penniless. The so-called funds and cryptocurrencies were all scams. He had no understanding of financial management whatsoever. Tens of thousands of yuan were thrown into the water without even a splash. At first, he thought about seeking refuge with relatives, but after learning about his misdeeds, they avoided him like the plague, afraid that he might lead their own children astray. With nowhere else to go, he thought of Lin Bao. Following the address listed in the class group spreadsheet, he found Lin Bao's home. Her home was in an old residential area. Inside, the apartment was small and messy, with Lin Bauer sitting there, puffing away on a cigarette. You should go. I'm getting ready to go work. My grades were never that great anyway, so going into factory work just cuts a few years off the detour. Tang Jiahao had no more use to her, so she didn't need to keep up the act anymore. Didn't we agree to go to college together? How could I just go work in a factory? Come on, even your parents don't want you anymore. What else can you do besides factory work? Lin Bauer flashed a worldly smile and patted his face. Stop daydreaming and get lost. I still have to pack my things. Tang Jiahao couldn't believe it. How did you become like this? I've always been like this. If I can't get into college, none of you should either. It's a shame that bitch Zhou Jialing didn't fall for it. What a pity. You did it on purpose, deliberately trying to harm me. What good does it do you if I can't go to college? No good at all. I just don't want to see you living too well. Lin Bauer's parents divorced when she was young, and she has been living alone since she was 12. Her parents occasionally send her a little living allowance, but otherwise, they completely neglect her. This made her heart grow increasingly twisted, unable to bear seeing those around her live well, so she had long conceived this plan in her mind, with the aim of destroying the university dreams of everyone in our class. Having witnessed the true face of the person before him, Tang Jiahao froze in place, followed by immense anger. He had been ruined for a lifetime by such a person. He rushed forward and beat Lin Bauer severely with the collapsible baton he carried with him. After beating her, he ran away, leaving Lin Bauer, who was breathing more than exhaling, struggling on the brink of death. Fortunately, her phone was nearby at the time, and she immediately called 120 for emergency help, saving her life. However, her nose bridge was broken, and several of her ribs were fractured. Tang Jiahao had no money to compensate at all, and she herself didn't have much either. She was deep in debt and left the hospital before fully recovering. No one ever knew where she went. The police caught Tang Jiahao, who was hiding in the suburbs, and took him back. He would spend the precious 5 years of his life in prison. 2 months later, I went to college with my parents by my side, had taped the admission notice back together, so it didn't affect my registration. 4 years later, I successfully graduated and found a decent job. One day, while ordering takeout at the company, I saw a familiar name on my phone. When the delivery arrived, it was indeed him. Tang Jiahao, wearing his delivery uniform, was in a frantic rush to deliver the next order, but he still remembered to ask me to give him a good review. Throughout the entire time, he kept his head down and didn't look at me. I watched his retreating figure and said nothing. My colleague took the takeout and asked me if I knew the delivery person. I shook my head. No, I don't. The past is in the past. The present me is a brand new me. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In my previous life, while doing farm work at home, the Golden Finger Mall suddenly appeared in the yard. After glimpsing the fleeting exchange instructions, I painstakingly persuaded my parents and younger sister not to make any exchanges. Later, my parents blamed me for blocking their financial luck, and my sister blamed me for affecting her college entrance exam. No wonder you did so well on your exams. You must have exchanged for it yourself. The whole family despised me, seizing any minor misstep as an excuse to beat me mercilessly. They even had my younger sister take my place at J University, while my parents broke my legs and married me off to a remote mountain village. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn, returning to the day the golden finger fell. This time, I said nothing, simply watching with a smile as they cashed it in. I stared at the fallen Golden Finger Mall in the courtyard. For a moment, my mind was in a daze. When I caught a glimpse of the fleeting exchange instructions, I finally snapped back to reality. I was actually reborn, and I came back to this very day. At that moment, my parents and younger sister heard the noise and rushed out. They pushed me to the front. What are you standing there for? Go check what this is and see if it's dangerous. I stumbled from the push, nearly falling, and stared at the interface in front of me without a word. After a while, my sister, seeing no immediate danger, was the first to lose patience. Useless as a log, move aside. She pushed me aside directly, her eyes gleaming as she gazed at the golden, dazzling mall interface. Peerless lucky star. God of wealth descends anywhere door, ultimate brain, flight skill. Memory technique. All sorts of golden fingers were displayed there, available for exchange. Mom and Dad came over to see what was happening. What's this? The God of wealth descending. Sweetie, there's also a super brain here. How do we redeem this? Mom, Dad, I know, I've played this kind of game before. Usually when you click redeem, it tells you how much money it costs. Mom, just try clicking it. What if it's real? If I had the strongest brain, I wouldn't have to worry about the college entrance exam. Then my younger sister walked over to me with a smile and took my hand. Big sister, you're smart and good at studying. Do you think we should try it? They always treat me like this. When they need me, they'll talk to me nicely for a few words, but when they don't need me anymore, they turn around and insult me at will. In the previous life, that's when I stopped them. This thing's origin is unknown. If it costs us our lifelong health and luck as the price, it wouldn't be worth exchanging. Hearing me speak so gravely, my parents hesitated a bit, while my younger sister remained unwilling to give up and still wanted to try. Left with no choice, I recounted to them what I had just read on the exchange instruction manual. Product validity period, 6 months. Based on the principle of fairness and justice, the exchanger will pay an equivalent price for the exchange. The exchange must be voluntary, and once completed, no refunds or exchanges will be allowed. Example, if exchanging for the ultimate lucky star, the exchanger will experience misfortune after the product's validity period, and so on. Final notice, ownership belongs to the product's founder, and no complaints will be accepted. Although the manual disappeared, it was only after my persistent persuasion that they completely abandoned the idea of redeeming it. But later, whenever life got slightly tough, my parents would blame me. It's all your fault. If you hadn't stopped us back then, our family would be rich by now. Would we still need to work from dawn to dusk raising such an unlikable child like you? Life at home has become increasingly difficult for me. Whenever they're in a bad mood, they would beat and kick me while hurling curses. As for my younger sister, because of her poor academic performance, she only managed to get into a vocational college. In her rage, she even threw a hot water kettle at me. Why did you get into J University while I'm stuck with a vocational college? Did you secretly exchange for a golden finger and deliberately prevent us from doing the same? Hearing this, my parents' expressions changed completely, looking at me as if I were an enemy from several lifetimes ago. They broke my legs and threw me into a dusty side room. I gritted my teeth and tried to explain, but they didn't believe me at all, just stared at me coldly. We don't have such a selfish daughter like you. You only think about exchanging your golden finger to climb up, completely disregarding whether we live or die. I was in excruciating pain, curled up on the ground. Mom, Dad, I didn't. They let out a cold, mocking laugh and turned away without another word. I clutched my broken right leg, holding back tears, silently telling myself, Julia, endure it, just endure it a little longer. Once J University starts, you can escape all of this. I thought it would be no different from the previous beatings, but I never imagined it would be completely unlike before. I was locked in the side room and never let out. Only occasionally would they throw me a bowl of porridge or water to drink. As a result, my body grew weaker, and my injuries worsened. The start of the school term was fast approaching. I looked at my sister who came to deliver the meal, as if grasping the last lifeline. Sis, please, school is about to start. Talk to Mom and Dad. Let me out, let me out. My sister gazed at me with pity and arrogance. She put her hands on her hips and suddenly burst into laughter. Sister, aren't you the smart one who's good at studying? You're so outstanding. Figure out how to get out yourself. Oh, did I forget to tell you, you're not the elder sister anymore. I am now. Your grades, your J University, everything of yours belongs to me now. Ha 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 ha. My parents actually let my younger sister take my identity to attend J University in my place. The pain left me staring blankly, my vision blurred, fingers clawed fiercely at the ground, scraping bloody marks into the dirt. Later, while I was delirious with fever from infected wounds, my parents stuffed me into a dilapidated minivan. Done deal, payment settled. Our family will say she ran off with some rogue. Make sure she never escapes. Faintly, I heard their conversation. I wanted to scream for help, to run away, but my body was completely weak, my throat so hoarse I couldn't even make a sound. I dug my broken nails into the metal sheet beneath me, but no matter how I struggled, I had no strength left. I don't understand. I'm their daughter too. Why do they treat me like this? Is it just because I'm not good with words, don't like to laugh or cry, and don't know how to act cute? But I've done no less than anyone else. They said supporting both of us sisters through school was hard, so I helped with all the housework and farm chores. They said the fees for my sister's elite tutor were too high, putting too much pressure on the family, so I started tutoring others to earn money and help support my sister. I just didn't let them choose the golden shortcut. I only wanted to spare them a lifetime of regret from bearing the consequences. Why do they treat me like this? Am I not their family, not their child? I couldn't understand, and so, with deep resentment, I closed my eyes, and now, suddenly, I no longer want to understand. Remembering my miserable death in my past life, my whole body trembles uncontrollably. These people are not my family at all, they're just beasts in human skin. I gritted my teeth and swore silently in my heart that I would never risk myself for their sake again in this lifetime. Each of them deserves to face their own retribution. Thinking of this, I withdrew my hand from my sister's tight grip and slowly replied, whatever you choose must be right. My sister Nancy was overjoyed to hear me say that. She browsed through the Golden Finger Mall, trying to pick the one she liked best, but my parents were hesitating at this moment. Dad impatiently gave me a kick. Julia, is this thing really okay? I forcefully closed my eyes for a moment, adjusted my expression, then looked up and softly said, everything comes with a price. As long as you've thought it through, that's fine. This sentence was the last bit of affection I left for them, out of respect for the fact they gave me life. My mother snorted coldly upon hearing this. I really don't know who she takes after, speaking so harshly and being so unlikable. After all these years, she still hasn't learned anything from her younger sister. Then she looked at Nancy with a face full of adoration. Nancy casually responded with a few words, that's just how my sister is, like a dead person, always wearing that stern expression. As she spoke, her eyes kept glancing at the contents of the golden finger, then she directly clicked the super brain exchange button. In an instant, the transaction was completed, and Nancy felt completely different. She exclaimed and looked at her parents. Mom, Dad, there's no cost to this. Julia was just being overly dramatic. See, I've already exchanged it. Come quickly, come and choose. Look, there's a countdown. It might end in just 5 minutes. Upon hearing Nancy's words, my parents ignored me and hurried straight to the redemption page. Their expressions grew increasingly frenzied as they gazed at the golden fingers inside. In the end, my mother chose Peerless Lucky Star, which could bring her endless blessings and good fortune. Father chose Fortune's Descent, and from then on, he would no longer worry about money, as wealth would become inexhaustible and endlessly available. At that moment, Father noticed a golden finger called Shadow Substitute. Inside, he immediately turned to stare at me, frowning, and said, Julia, exchange this golden finger. According to the description, this golden finger can take on physical damage for others, causing only pain without actual harm. Nancy's eyes curved into smiles upon hearing this. Yeah, sis. With such an unlikable personality, having this kind of cheat ability really makes up for your character flaws. The gazes of all three instantly locked onto me. I didn't obey as I usually would, but slowly took a few steps back. Seeing my actions, my father frowned and scolded. What's wrong with you again? Looking for a beating, aren't you? Can't you listen when I talk nicely? Must I resort to force? With only a minute left, I try my best to stall for time. I don't want to choose. There's nothing here that I want. If you don't want to choose, I'll pick for you. Why are you still dawdling there? I know they never really listen to what I say, but I never expected my father to suddenly yank me over and press me against the page. Don't you think about yourself, or your family, with this golden finger? Whenever we fall ill, wouldn't you be able to help solve it too? After saying this, he roughly grabbed my hand and forced it toward the exchange button. My father's strength was immense, and I couldn't break free at all. Meanwhile, my mother and younger sister watched with eyes full of anticipation. Soon, I was about to be dragged by my father to click the exchange button. At the very last second, I suddenly thought of something. I quickly shouted, "I'm not exchanging this willingly." In an instant, the golden finger shop flickered and suddenly vanished from the courtyard. Father was startled by the scene before him. He quickly released his grip on me and stepped back. What just happened? My younger sister pouted and explained. Julia was dawdling, and the countdown ended. Then the three of them had no time to pay attention to me and started excitedly discussing their own cheat abilities, eager to try them out right away. Dad bought a lottery ticket. Mother sat quietly at home waiting for good fortune to arrive, while Julia ran back into the house and began quickly flipping through her senior year textbooks. Not long after, the neighbors noticed that our family's recent luck was truly extraordinary. The lottery ticket Dad bought actually won over 5 million yuan, while Mom just casually strolled around the field. And the very next day, someone in a crisp suit came saying they wanted to rent that land because the location was exceptionally good, offering her an annual rent of 1 million yuan. Meanwhile, my sister found her mind exceptionally clear, able to remember everything she read at a glance and solve any difficult problem instantly. As the only one in the family without a cheat ability, I became the odd one out. They did nothing all day but gather together to discuss how to better utilize their cheat abilities. All the household chores have fallen on me alone, yet I'm incredibly happy because I've never had so much free time before. I no longer need to spend extra time earning useless tutoring fees for Nancy, and since my parents have the golden touch, although they occasionally still find me irritating, at least they don't resort to hitting or scolding me anymore. Mom, I need to buy groceries today. It cost. All right. Don't tell me all that, just handle the flowers as you see fit. Dad, you asked me to find someone to renovate the house. I asked around. Can't you see I'm busy picking stocks? Don't bother me with nonsense. Suppressing a smile, I nodded expressionlessly and stepped out. Hee, the busier you are, the better. I've already saved up 30,000 in my little nest egg, so when I go to college, I won't have to rely on them at all. Not long after school started, Nancy appeared on campus wearing a Miu Miu hair clip and carrying a Chanel backpack. Seeing her sudden display of wealth, her classmates instantly gathered around her. Nancy, that hair clip must cost 20,000, right? Did your family win the lottery? Nancy smiled smugly and said, you actually guessed it right. That's exactly it. My dad recently made several million from stock trading. Several million? In the town's high school, where such large sums of money were unheard of, the crowd around Nancy instantly grew noisier. Oh my, even though you and Julia are twins, you look so much more beautiful than her now. But why hasn't Julia changed into new clothes? She's still wearing such old ones. Nancy gave me a disdainful glance. Oh, she's too noble to care about such worldly possessions. I quietly sat at my seat, reviewing the textbook content, without explaining that my family hadn't bought me any new clothes. Indeed, your sister studies so well. If she can maintain her grades, she might even get into J University. Nancy glanced at the girl who spoke and let out a cold laugh. J University, what's so great about that? If I wanted to, I could go there too. The girls surrounding her immediately exchanged varied expressions. After all, Nancy's previous grades were barely enough to get into a vocational college on a good day. Even though her family had suddenly struck it rich, her academic performance couldn't possibly improve overnight, could it? Nancy certainly knew they didn't believe her. With a disdainful snort, she didn't bother to explain further. At that moment, the teacher walked in. She frowned at Nancy's garishly colorful outfit. Students should focus their minds on studying, she said. What's the point of all this nonsense? start the mock exam, throw all the books on the desk to the floor. Nancy looked at the test paper with disdain, picked up her pen and started writing furiously, being the first in the class to hand in her paper. No matter how much the teacher told her to double-check her answers, she doesn't listen at all. Others think she doesn't care about exam scores because her family is wealthy now, but I know why she's like this. Now that Nancy holds the golden finger, of course she wouldn't take a high school mock exam seriously. I lowered my eyes slightly, no longer paying attention to these matters, and began estimating the scores while filling out the exam paper. Soon after the mock exam results came out, the outcome shocked everyone, because I was no longer the top scorer. The new first place had actually achieved perfect scores in all subjects. It turned out to be Nancy. The teacher couldn't believe this answer and tested Nancy several times before believing her results, then looked at Nancy's test paper with pleasant surprise. Genius. This is pure genius. This problem, this solution, my goodness. It took our teachers 3 days to understand this solution. Nancy lifted her head high and said proudly, "Teacher, I know 3 other ways to solve it too." Then she slightly furrowed her brows and cast a pitying glance in my direction. "Julia, your grades this time aren't very good. You didn't even get a perfect score. Did your brain stop working after the holiday?" I nodded expressionlessly. "Yeah, I guess I'm not as smart as you. It's like you suddenly unlocked some super brain power." These words instantly made Nancy a bit guilty. She blinked nervously, but before she could retort, the teacher spoke impatiently. "Julia, it's a good thing that your younger sister has suddenly become enlightened. You should humbly seek her advice more often. Your performance in this mock exam has really dropped quite a bit." Hearing the teacher say this, Nancy's slightly furrowed brow relaxed, and she chuckled lightly. After returning home, Nancy showed her grades to her parents. The parents laughed heartily. They had been living very smoothly during this period. Every stock their father bought would immediately start soaring, with money pouring into their pockets, and in no time they had earned nearly 10 million. Meanwhile, their mother was also experiencing extraordinary luck. Buying any vase makes it an antique, and casually raising a potted plant, people would claim it's a one-of-a-kind piece, rushing to purchase it. They felt life had never been this effortless before, so they moved straight to town, bought a villa, and even hired a housekeeper and a chef. Of course, I was delighted too. Although I save less money now, my days are more peaceful, and I have more time to study. Today, Nancy went out with friends and hasn't returned home yet. I already heard the principal and teachers rushing to call them, saying Nancy has extraordinary potential and will surely shine brightly after the college entrance exams, with the ability to compete abroad and solve world-class problems. This is an immense honor. The parents of classmates have been visiting one after another to seek advice, marveling at how they raised their child to make such remarkable progress in just one vacation. These days are smooth sailing with both fame and fortune. How could they not be happy? As soon as Nancy came home with her report card, her parents couldn't stop grinning from ear to ear. "Wonderful, wonderful, Nancy, you're not only obedient and sensible, but you also excel in your studies. Truly my daughter, flawless and perfect in every way." Nancy stood beside her parents, looking at me with a challenging smirk. "But my sister's grades have dropped." Sigh. "If this decline continues, she might not even make it into J University." Mother gently stroked Nancy's hair. "With that foul temper of hers, why bother worrying about her?" Dad glared at me with anger in his eyes. Who can she blame? If she hadn't been so indecisive that day and failed to quickly exchange for a golden finger, she wouldn't have ended up like this. He picked up the cigar cutter, made a show of trimming it, then put it in his mouth and took a puff, coughing as he spoke. "If you do well on the exam, fine. If not, just find someone to marry and be done with it. It's annoying just looking at you." I looked at his cold expression beneath the smoke and instantly recalled how miserably I had died in my past life. My head slightly lowered, I couldn't stop trembling all over. Fortunately, they quickly shifted the topic to the golden finger. I let out a soft sigh and quietly stepped out of the room. Listening to the laughter and chatter inside, I clenched my fingers tightly to calm myself down. Soon, very soon, after that, whether at school or at home, I became increasingly low-key. At home, they each have their own social circles now, going out every day to eat and drink with others, hardly ever coming back. At school, no matter how Nancy provoked or mocked me, I remained silent, focusing only on my textbooks, trying hard to absorb what I learned. Over time, she found it boring and stopped bothering me, until the day before the college entrance exam. Unexpectedly, Nancy, whom I hadn't seen in a long time, along with a few other girls, stopped me on the playground. "Julia, you study so hard, but why Haven't your grades improved? Maybe you're just not that smart." I quietly watched her without saying a word. "What are you looking at? With your current grades, even if you try your hardest, you'll never catch up to me. Envy and jealousy won't help. Although we're twins, we're not on the same level anymore." Nancy raised an eyebrow. "Why don't you beg me? If you beg me, I might ask my parents to give you some money and send you abroad to study." The girls behind her also chimed in mockingly. "Yeah, forget about working hard. What's the point of studying so much? Even your wildest dreams can't catch up to our Julia. Just beg our Julia, and the scraps from her fingers would be enough to feed you for the rest of your life." Nancy laughed happily upon hearing this, then turned to the girl who was flattering her and said, "Here, I'll buy the phone you've been eyeing. After all, you're much better at talking than my clueless sister." Then she walked over to me, whispering provocatively in my ear, "Julia, you'll regret this sooner or later, with your grades dropping so much, without cheat codes or your parents' support. What are you even worth? I can't wait to see you crying and begging me after the college entrance exams." Nancy deliberately sought me out before the exam. "They just want to affect my mindset and make me perform worse in the exam." In my past life, my scores did fluctuate a lot, and my mental state was really poor, but now, these childish tricks she's playing are really beneath me. J University. I really don't understand why Nancy hates me so much, when clearly the family always favors her. Even the 1,000 yuan per session tutoring she clamored for was paid by my after-school part-time jobs. My good grades, it's built upon every little moment of each day, eating just a bite to get by, sleeping only 3 hours, persisting through sheer willpower. Is it just because classmates always teased her about not studying as well as I do? Let her hate me like this. Watching Nancy's retreating figure, the person who arrogantly laughed in my past life, saying they would replace me at J University, slowly overlapped with her. I took a light breath. I will never let that nightmare happen again. "Nancy, you can no longer replace me." On the playground, seeing how Nancy treated me, the classmates began to whisper among themselves. Some of Nancy's flatterers even took out their phones, eager to capture my moment of losing composure. Yet, I slowly began to laugh, facing the classmate who was holding up their phone towards me. I spoke up, "Nancy, you better study hard for the exams. After the college entrance exams are over, your parents will surely be very happy. After all, the Golden Fingers validity period is only 6 months. By then, I wonder if they'll still be as happy when they pay the price." The college entrance exams ended smoothly. Only at this moment did I finally relax, knowing I hadn't let down my persevering, hard-working self. Of course, my parents wouldn't miss this opportunity to show off. They invited the entire class, their parents, and teachers to a celebration banquet. How ridiculous. The results haven't even been announced yet they seem to have already confirmed that Nancy is this year's top scorer in the college entrance exams. Her parents led Nancy, dressed in formal attire, slowly onto the stage. "Special thanks to all the students and teachers for your support of my daughter over these years." Then, with shared pride, she looked at Nancy. "We also have to thank Nancy herself. It's her own hard work that has led to such outstanding achievements." Sitting in the corner, I nearly laughed out loud. Hard work, did you try hard to redeem it? But watching this scene, for some reason, even though I had long since stopped holding on to any attachment to them, my heart still ached with bitterness. Perhaps it was a sense of injustice for that girl who once struggled to express herself and still clung to the fantasy that her parents loved her. During this time, my father came to be known as the stock god. He listened to the flattery from the parents of the surrounding students. At this moment, he also poured a glass of wine, drank it in one gulp, and said cheerfully, "Of course, I know many people want to get rich with me. No problem, let's make money together. Parents, don't be impatient." Meanwhile, his mother, due to her extraordinary luck, choosing whatever would appreciate in value, was repeatedly invited to help appraise raw stones, calligraphy, paintings, and antiques. She nodded with a smile, holding Nancy's arm. "You've all been taking good care of Nancy. Don't worry, if you make plans with me, I'll prioritize your time." Nancy also held her parents' arms and looked at me in the corner. "Mom, Dad, I'm the one who can make you proud, right? Julia, can you?" Don't mention her on happy occasions, just look at her lifeless face. Clearly she didn't do well on the exam. Whether she did well or not is meaningless now. She's no longer one of us, because I didn't choose the golden finger, a special ability, and couldn't bear his illness for him. My father was deeply displeased, fueled by alcohol. He pointed at my nose and scolded, "Julia, you're unfilial at home, always stubborn and disobedient. Today you've turned 18. From now on, take care of yourself. don't you dare call yourself a daughter of the Sioux family anymore. I slowly stood up, looking at the family members who were gazing at me with disdain. I smiled faintly. Fine, let everyone here bear witness. From now on, Julia, will have no ties with these three people, alive or dead. We shall never meet again. Originally, my father had said this while somewhat drunk, and seeing me still wearing a sullen expression, he was displeased and deliberately lectured me. He didn't expect that I would actually agree to it right away. As he saw the astonished looks from everyone, her face flushed red with anger, and she directly threw the wine glass in her hand to the ground. Fine, fine, you're being stubborn, aren't you? Good, starting today, if you dare say you're my daughter again, I'll break your legs. Mother also looked at me with a complicated expression. Julia, speaking to your father like this, do you really not want to come home anymore? Hurry up and apologize. Nancy also took pleasure in others' misfortune. Looks like someone didn't do well on their exams and has gone crazy. As I watched their ugly faces, my laughter grew louder and louder. I'm speechless. All these years, I've been doing all the housework, all the farm work, and even paid for your Nancy's tutoring with my hard-earned money. What do I owe you? Even if I owed you a life, I've already paid it back, right? Now you have money, luck, and brains. Of course you don't need a Julia who works like an ox anymore. So, thank you for setting me free. We owe each other nothing. As soon as these words were spoken, whispers spread among the surrounding classmates and some of the more alert parents. It's true, when his family was struggling, I saw Julia going out to work at night. Yeah, I used to be their neighbor. The older girl did all the farm work for the family, while the younger one only cared about dressing herself up nicely. The three of them overheard the murmurs from the crowd and completely lost face. They shouted directly at me, get out of here, you're no longer part of this family, and you're not welcome at this banquet. I stood up and brushed off my clothes. I don't need you to tell me. I wouldn't want to spend another second with you. Just before leaving, I slowly turned back to look at the three of them and smiled. You didn't know, did you? The so-called golden finger only lasts for 6 months, and today, yours is about to expire. Let's see how much of your wealth, luck, and brains you have left. With that, I stopped paying attention to the surrounding chatter and strode out, never looking back. I ignored the three people who were frantically running toward me to demand answers, simply hailed a cab and left. I had already rented an apartment and moved my belongings there before the exam, without them saying a word. Today I also wanted to completely sever ties with them. After all, not only did they obtain the golden finger for themselves, but my father even went so far as to form a small team specifically for stock trading, feeding them insider information and taking a cut at every level. As for my mother, she bought a lot of antiques and paintings, since she could spot the genuine ones at a glance and knew exactly which would appreciate in value. Of course, she had to keep some for investment. The wealthy ladies in town practically worshipped her, treating her like a lucky charm. From the moment Nancy gained the most powerful brain, she never picked up a book to study again. Instead, she spent her days splurging on all kinds of luxury items, spending money recklessly, every day. They tell our parents that we're rich now and need to elevate our status. Our food, belongings, and appearance must all be high class. At home, they either talk about their golden fingers or try to imitate sophisticated rich people, copying without understanding. Meanwhile, I'm working hard at my studies, exercising, and constantly looking for a way to leave this family. After all, I can't even imagine how all these things will have to be returned when their golden fingers disappear. I certainly don't want to go down with them, thinking about how they treated me in my past life. I endured and waited for all this to come. Soon, they began to face retribution. On the day the results were announced, Nancy indeed became the top scorer in the province. I smiled silently without saying a word. A few days later, the school held an award ceremony, where my parents and Nancy were all present. The three of them probably didn't notice any changes in themselves these past few days, and took what I said as angry words. My parents sat with Nancy, not even turning their heads toward me, as if afraid of dirtying their eyes. Nancy, on the other hand, tugged at the teacher's sleeve and asked curiously, "Teacher, how many points did Julia get?" 600. The teacher hesitated and shook her head before even speaking. Nancy said loudly with glee, "Julia, without our family, you're nothing. You didn't even get 600 points. Can you still get into a first-tier university?" I watched Nancy being so arrogant and smiled without saying a word. After the principal finished speaking, it was Nancy's turn to speak. As the top scorer in the college entrance exam, she glanced at me haughtily and walked straight to the stage. "First, I'd like to thank my parents and myself. Today's achievements are all the result of my own hard work." Then, For some reason, Nancy suddenly paused, then she patted her head and continued, "Of course, it's because we exchanged for the cheat ourselves, and my sister Julia, that fool, kept saying the cheat was dangerous and refused to exchange it no matter what, which is why she couldn't even score 600 points. As soon as Nancy said this, the scene instantly descended into chaos. What golden finger? Is this cheating? Is this openly admitting to cheating? The parents in the audience also turned pale, shouting frantically, "Nancy, what nonsense are you talking about? Are you under too much pressure? Stop talking nonsense and come down quickly." Nancy's eyes were blank, as if her mind couldn't process anything, and she said into the microphone, "Come down, where to, Mom and Dad? Why are you so excited? We have the strongest brain, the ultimate lucky star, and the god of wealth descends. What are you afraid of?" No, I'm not afraid of anything, Julia, what's the use of studying well? Everyone likes me, now I study well too, ha 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 ha." Nancy completely lost control and went crazy on stage. I'm the top scorer now. Thank you all, I'm a star. Ha 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 ha." Her mother tried to go on stage to pull Nancy back, just took a step and got her skirt caught on the nearby chair, fell instantly, face covered in blood, losing 2 big teeth right away. She covered her mouth in shock, mumbling indistinctly, my luck. The father's phone rang incessantly. He stared at the messages on his phone, ignoring the chaos around him as his trembling hands desperately tried to sell off his stocks, but it was too late. In an instant, the market hit the limit down, and then everything he had invested in, real estate, companies, all began to collapse. He couldn't catch his breath and fainted on the spot. The award ceremony instantly turned into an emergency rescue scene. Yes, Nancy relied on her golden finger to claim the title of top scorer, but I, relying solely on my own abilities, was only 1 point behind her, now holding the special admission letters from J University, Hua University, and the University of Macau. I smile while watching this spectacle. The price of the golden finger has arrived, the most powerful brain, That's something you'll have to repay with your future mental clarity, ultimate lucky star. By stacking several lifetimes worth of good fortune into these 6 months, it naturally ensures you'll be worry-free and blessed with luck. Wealth god descends. When the stolen wealth's time comes due, the wealth god won't just reclaim what you took, they'll also take away all your financial luck for the rest of your life. At this moment, Mother and the frantic Nancy saw me sitting to the side, smiling. They stumbled and crawled over. You mentioned validity period, cost, what's going on? Is this why you'd rather die than exchange it? Tell me, speak up now. I watched them expressionlessly. Didn't I tell you? You didn't believe me. Not only didn't you believe me, but you also suppressed me, insulted me, and threatened me. Now it's come true, and you can't regret it anymore. Bear the consequences well. After just a few words, Nancy lost control and went mad again. Everything is mine, the golden fingers are all mine. Meanwhile, Mom's face turned ashen. She glanced at the hysterical Nancy and immediately slapped her across the face. It's all your fault. You're the one who convinced me to exchange with you and your dad. Unexpectedly, she twisted her ankle in that moment and stumbled toward the sharp metal edge on the side of the awards podium. A piercing scream rang out. The entire palm was slashed so deeply that the bone was visible. I turned and walked away, unwilling to deal with this chaos any longer. This was only the beginning, and the price was merely today's small lesson. For the rest of their lives, they would live with the consequences. The provincial top scorer interview was indeed live-streamed. This earth-shaking farce completely caught the attention of the authorities. After a thorough investigation, they directly revoked Nancy's college entrance exam scores. If Nancy had completely lost her mind, life might have been easier for her. Unfortunately, she is now sometimes lucid and sometimes insane. When she heard that the provincial top scorer title had fallen to me based on grades, she smashed the only valuable antique in the house. Because of this incident, my father, whose hair turned white from financial stress, broke her leg. I heard that every day, a great number of debt collectors blocked their doorstep. The stocks my father recommended kept hitting the daily limit down every day, making it impossible to sell them off. Yet my stubborn father still leveraged his investments, ending up with debts that would take several lifetimes to repay. As for my mother, she simply couldn't be discharged from the hospital. Her luck had turned so disastrous that even lifting a finger would suddenly bring calamity, landing her back in the hospital with injuries. Within just 2 years, their family made the social news because my father actually tried to take my mother and Nancy into the mountains, planning to run away with the Money, unfortunately, my mother is now extremely unlucky. The driver got into a serious accident before even starting the car. Due to her pre-existing injuries, my mother died in the crash. The police arrived at the scene and immediately arrested the entire criminal gang. Just as they were about to apprehend my father, I only later found out that my father had secretly hidden himself after running away from debt, and ended up accidentally drowning in a cesspit. As for Nancy, she was admitted to a special hospital, babbling nonsense every day. I'm Julia, and I'm going to study at J University, but all of this had nothing to do with me anymore, because from the very beginning, they publicly announced cutting ties with me in front of everyone. After the official investigation, it was also confirmed that my grades had no issues whatsoever, so I only heard about these things afterward from former classmates. Hearing these again, there is not the slightest ripple in my heart anymore. I am currently studying abroad with my advisor, and over these years, I have met countless different people and experienced many different things. They have shown me that there truly are demons in this world like my family, but there are also kind-hearted people willing to listen, help, and do good. I no longer dwell in the nightmares of the past, but set my sights on a future brimming with infinite possibilities. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After the college entrance exams, during our class graduation dinner at a hot spring resort, something calling itself a system appeared, claiming it could grant us any kind of cheat ability. In my previous life, aside from me, all my classmates chose beauty, status, money, and the like. Only I, because I loved watching anime and was full of dreams about the future, chose foresight, only to see a future ravaged by devastation and overrun by zombies. When I told them about the scenes I had witnessed, I was brutally beaten. They all claimed I was jealous of their imminent rise to the top, and in unanimous agreement, they heartlessly killed me. In this lifetime, when the class monitor was collecting and registering everyone's cheat abilities, I shyly said, I choose 100 million in gold. The whole class fell silent. When the monitor asked what kind of cheat ability I possessed, I replied with embarrassment, naturally, it's money. Some of them looked at me with disdain, while others asked in confusion, Lena, isn't your family already wealthy? Why would you still choose money? Nonsense. Of course I'd choose something I don't even need to use. Gold is something that retains its value even if you don't use it. In my previous life, through foresight, I saw classmates who used cheats suffer backlash one after another, becoming the first powerless victims when the apocalypse arrived. Those who chose to become beautiful had their limbs fester after the apocalypse, lying paralyzed and immobile in bed. Those who chose to become intelligent had their brains instantly fried after the apocalypse, wandering around groaning and mumbling. Those who chose the clairvoyant ability lost all 5 senses after the apocalypse and ended up killing themselves before the zombies could even bite them. This time, there was no need for foresight to predict the devastation a month later. As for the cheat ability I chose, everyone was puzzled and even a bit suspicious. Are you sure you picked gold? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Instead of aiming to rise above others, why would you choose something as useless as money? Unless you're lying to us and secretly picked something you can't talk about. How could that be? Whether it's real or not, the results will show soon enough. What reason would I have to deceive you? I put on a nonchalant expression, but it did nothing to dispel their doubts. In fact, their tone grew even harsher. Lena, your family is so wealthy. Just one phone call could summon a box of gold. Even if we ignore everything else, this alone makes it impossible for us to believe you. Exactly, Lena, if you're going to lie, at least make it believable. Who would buy that? Everyone has their own advantages. No one's jealous of you. Why hide things like this? Lena, you didn't get something that could threaten us, did you? Is that why you're too scared to speak up? Seeing my classmates gathering around me one by one, I couldn't help but recall how in my previous life, when I warned them that using cheats would bring backlash, no one believed me. They even thought I was exaggerating or simply trying to shatter their dreams. In their rage and humiliation, each of them used their cheats to torment me mercilessly, their faces twisted with gleeful satisfaction. Foresight, who needs your foresight? I'm finally about to rise above everyone else, and here you are with your fake concern and nonsense. Die, just die. Class monitor, isn't killing going too far? Someone had a rare moment of conscience, wondering what would happen if they went to jail for murder. At that time, I was surrounded by a group of people, my vision blurred by blood, and my throat clogged with thick gushes of blood, making it hard to breathe. Even if they didn't beat me to death, I would have choked to death. I looked hopefully at the classmate who spoke up for me, but her words were immediately drowned out by the others. Why are you panicking? There are so many of us. Didn't someone get that golden finger to make things disappear? Just have her vaporized later. With so many of us, how could we not handle her? Or do you want to end up like her too? Seeing the girl about to become the target of public criticism, and she wasn't kind enough to bail me out either, I quickly declared my loyalty. How could that be? She got what she deserved. Who told her to talk nonsense? Class monitor. What should we do if someone asks about it later? Just say she went missing. After all, our hands are clean. The class monitor snorted coldly. Let the police investigate. As long as we keep our mouths shut, no one will ever know the truth in this lifetime. Exactly. Tara, you're just worrying unnecessarily. Now that we all have superpowers, who's afraid of the police? The class monitor, who had long admired the squad leader, quickly chimed in, then glared at me with venom in his eyes. So, does anyone else have any objections? Seeing everyone agree, a group of vicious ghosts unleashed their abilities on me with brutal force. Those without offensive golden fingers resorted to stabbing me with various tools, over and over, ignoring my desperate pleas for mercy, continuing even after I had stopped breathing. After my death, a classmate with the vaporization golden finger disposed of my body to cover up the crime. They enjoyed a month-long vacation at the hot spring resort before finally going to the police station to put on a fake show of grief. My parents, vacationing abroad, initially thought the loss of contact was due to poor international signal. Combined with my independent nature, we typically only spoke once a month. They remained unaware of my disappearance. Later, when they heard the news of my disappearance abroad, they were sobbing uncontrollably and rushed back without stopping, only to arrive right at the moment of the zombie outbreak, and both died in the airport from people being bitten. In this life, I will protect myself and also protect my parents. I must ensure our family survives until the end of the zombie apocalypse. Seeing my classmates starting to surround me, I couldn't help but bring out the excuse I had just thought of. Class monitor, you don't know, but I actually have a younger brother. What does having a younger brother matter? He moved closer to me, his gaze somewhat unfriendly. I sighed and pretended to struggle with my words. The reason I want gold is because all my family's wealth is to be left to my younger brother. My parents said that since I'm not smart and just a girl, naturally, the Lincoln family's money isn't meant for me. They even plan to arrange a marriage for me when I go to college. If I don't think for myself, there's really no way out for me. I do have a younger brother, but our parents favored daughters over sons from childhood. The most frequent phrases my parents said to my brother were, "You must take good care of your sister. You should give way to your sister. She's so good to you. If you dare bully her, we'll beat you to death," and similar remarks. It's often said that in families with two children, it's hard to treat both equally. Coincidentally, it was precisely because of my parents' favoritism that I felt no discomfort whatsoever about my brother's arrival. On the contrary, it felt like gaining a close friend with whom I could discuss and share everything. Even though I'm not smart, my younger brother still patiently teaches me without getting tired of it. Sometimes when he does get frustrated, he just says things like, "Just stop studying. As long as I have food in the future, you'll have some too," and so on. After I went missing, my younger brother was the first to notice. To avoid worrying our parents, he started investigating on his own. Eventually, he uncovered the suspicions about the class monitor and the others, but before he could gather enough evidence, he was discovered and tragically killed by them. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but tear up. Looking aggrieved, "Class monitor, look at me. I've lived a pampered life all these years. How can I survive without money? Gold holds its value, so if my arranged marriage partner treats me badly, I can just take the gold and run." "Oh, then why didn't you choose some other golden finger, like becoming the richest person or something?" Obviously, my words convinced them somewhat, but they still harbored a trace of doubt. "I'm so dumb. If I became the richest person, I'd probably go bankrupt right away even if I tried to manage it. Plus, it would make my parents jealous. I don't want that at all." Before I could finish speaking, the golden fingers rewarded by the system began to take effect one after another. The class representative, who had chosen beauty, transformed from a modest and gentle girl into a glamorous and provocative figure. The eyes of the entire class were glued to her. She proudly straightened her posture, but her gaze still involuntarily lingered on the class monitor. The class president, who had chosen the business acumen trait, exuded an even more refined demeanor, but to me, he was nothing more than a wolf in sheep's clothing. Seeing a stunning beauty gazing at him with affection, he was clearly pleased. he beckoned to the class representative and pulled her into his embrace. The student who had chosen the X-ray vision trait had eyes that were large and bright, but his lecherous gaze swept over the figures of all the female classmates. Despite his vulgar behavior, his good looks still made some blush under his scrutiny. Even the class representative, nestled in the president's arms, was no exception. She shivered under the gaze, and it wasn't until the president patted her bottom that she snapped out of it, burying her face in his chest. But some, like me, only felt offended, and an involuntary sense of disgust arose in my heart. At this point, there were still some who hadn't used the cheat abilities granted by the system. Although, without my interference in this life, everyone had smoothly obtained their desired powers, the more rational ones hesitated and asked, "Won't there be any side effects? What's the big deal? Even if they take it back later, at least we'll have experienced this period of happiness. You're worrying too much." Most of the classmates still didn't take it seriously, thinking at worst their abilities would be revoked, even if they had some doubts in their hearts, once they were on board. They lacked the courage to disembark. The classmate who was being talked about saw everyone else glowing with vitality, feeling like they'd be out of place if they didn't join in, so they gritted their teeth and used their ability too. At that moment, the class monitor seemed to snap out of it and asked where my gold was. Seeing everyone's eyes back on me, as if worried I hadn't made a wish, it felt like they'd devour me the next second if I couldn't produce any gold. I sneered inwardly but spoke slowly, "Can anyone lend me a bag?" Someone quickly reacted and fetched a large burlap sack for me. I pulled out one gold piece after another from my pocket and tossed them into the sack. Only then did the expressions of the crowd begin to soften, even revealing a hint of disdain, when they saw that no more gold could be pulled from my pocket. The class monitor finally released his grip on the study committee member and leaned in with a suggestive look. "Lena," he said, "what do you need so much money for? If you just stick with any one of us in the class, we'd protect you. Why go through all this trouble?" Noticing the blatant desire in his eyes and sensing the study committee member's rising anger, I quickly replied, "Monitor, what are you talking about? I'm just average looking, and now I'm good for nothing but money. Naturally, someone more suitable will come along for my classmates. What am I, really?" The study committee member's expression softened slightly, but his face still carried a sneer. "At least you know your place," he said. "You trashy men and cheap women deserve each other." I saw the class monitor shake his head slightly with some regret, but he didn't say anything to refute it, and a wave of disgust welled up inside me. Now that my classmates have all sorts of golden fingers, they're not really interested in my gold. After all, with their abilities, they can easily be treated as honored guests anywhere, so they don't give me much trouble. But at midnight, I always feel a pair of prying eyes on me. Probably those people still have doubts about me. After all, it's hard for them to believe that a rich person's simple wish is still just money. I pretended to be fast asleep, thinking to myself that I must leave tomorrow. The next day, everyone except me looked exhausted, likely because the surprise of the golden fingers had kept them awake all night. When I mentioned going home, they all looked displeased and even somewhat suspicious. "Why do you want to go home, now that we're all rich? What's the harm in staying a few more days? Why are you the only one leaving? Are you planning to go out and say something you shouldn't?" I felt a bit helpless. They all seemed paranoid, afraid I might ruin their hard-won happiness. I need to deposit the gold. Besides, my parents told me before that after the college entrance exams, we'd visit my uncle. I can't refuse. Besides, everyone here is so capable. Going out means building careers, not like me. If I don't hurry up now, my parents will literally eat me alive. My feigned helplessness seemed to stir something in the class monitor. He looked like he wanted to say something, but the academic officer stopped him. "Then hurry up and leave. What a shame. If you don't cherish the time with us now, you won't be able to climb up to our level later." Everyone chimed in agreement, but the thought of their miserable state a month from now filled me with indescribable pain. Go to hell. Who wants to climb up to your level? I pretended to leave in disappointment and only breathed a sigh of relief when I no longer felt those eerie gazes on me. The one who came to pick me up was the family butler who had always taken care of us siblings. Only after he helped me get home did I ask him, "Bob, where's Jack? Young master said your gathering probably wouldn't end so soon, so he went abroad first to find the master and madam," he replied. I nodded, scanning our villa, knowing that some of my classmates had our home address. I couldn't rule out the possibility that a few might become desperate enough to come after me. Since ancient times, human hearts have been hard to predict. I needed to eliminate all possibilities. Thinking of this, I gently said to Bob, "Bob, I'm going abroad to find my brother and the others next, so let's give everyone at home a vacation." He seemed somewhat surprised. "Everyone?" I nodded. "With full pay, since I'm finally taking a break. Naturally you all should too." At this point, I thought about how things would be a month later and felt that helping even one person would make a difference. "It's been so hot lately, Bob. My dad has a friend at the Meteorological Bureau who says temperatures will keep rising in the future. If possible, would you consider going to the countryside to escape the heat? Of course, it's best to prepare some things beforehand. Getting heatstroke while out would be terrible, miss." He frowned, seeming puzzled. "Then I'll go tell them." After finishing with Bob, I immediately called my parents, who were abroad. Before, when I was outside, I always held my breath, afraid someone might be eavesdropping on my calls, but at home, that sense of security relaxed me enough to make the call. The moment the call connected, my tears began to fall uncontrollably. "Mom, Dad," the person on the other end of the phone seemed startled by me and quickly said, "What's wrong, Lena? Did someone bully you? Tell Mom and Dad, is my brother with you?" Hearing me mention him, Jack, who was nearby, chimed in. "Lena, why are you crying? Did someone hit you? I'll beat them to death for you." Thinking that the three most important people in my life were still alive, the weight in my heart finally lifted. I wiped my tears and quickly reassured them, afraid they might suspect something and come back early, but fearing there might be a loophole. I thought it over and told them about my rebirth and the impending zombie outbreak in a month. Upon hearing this, they were first shocked, then doubted I was ill, until I tearfully filled in all the details. Out of love for me, they remained half convinced, half skeptical. "Lena, what you're saying has no basis. Besides, if you claim a zombie outbreak will happen in a month, you should come abroad with us, or we'll return home. Even if we die, our family should stay together." Hearing my parents' heartfelt words, the tears I had barely held back threatened to spill again. I also thought about going abroad to be with them, but it's not possible. If I left, those people would definitely find out, and with their capabilities, they would surely come after me. That would be like pushing my parents into a pit of fire, making things even more unsafe. A month is full of too many variables. I can't bring danger to them. If you don't believe me, in a couple of days, you can contact Uncle Chon and ask if a capable person has joined his company, or see if his company has miraculously turned around overnight. In my previous life, although I died, perhaps because my resentment was too strong, I became a soul that watched their every move for a month. I even saw how they treated my family and how each of them met a tragic end at the hands of the zombies. Uncle Chon, although he was someone Dad had been working with before, has been resorting to increasingly underhanded tactics in recent years, to the point where our whole family started distancing ourselves from him. Sure enough, last month, due to a mistake he made, his company began teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. My parents were still skeptical of what I said, so when I gave them examples, they mentioned that if those things really came true in a few days, they would truly believe me. Indeed, something as absurd as reincarnation, if it had been a few days ago, I definitely wouldn't have believed it. Even if someone had told me about the existence of a system, I would have suspected that person had lost their mind. Even though my parents didn't believe me, I still had to start preparing all the essential supplies for the impending apocalypse. I remember our family also bought a fairly small villa in this residential area. The reason it left an impression is because the house is quite remote, has a basement, and the entire community is located halfway up a mountain. Aside from the residents, few people come here, and shopping is handled by dedicated delivery services, which adds an extra layer of security. After Bob sent the household staff away, I also transferred 3 months' worth of wages to their cards. To put it simply, even though my parents went on a trip abroad, the allowance they gave me plus my savings over the years amount to at least tens of millions, so paying salaries is naturally not an issue. Referencing some wilderness survival videos on the internet and considering the most scarce items during the apocalypse in my previous life, I began compiling the following list. 1. Considering food supplies, self-heating rice, self-heating hot pot, and other instant foods, 100 boxes each, with 10 packs per box, without using household appliances as much as possible, 50 boxes of each flavor of instant noodles, 6 cups per box, 100 boxes of small bread with a shelf life of 6 months to 1 year, 100 boxes each of canned fruit and canned meat, which have a long shelf life. Crisps and other long-lasting snacks were also prepared, filling several shopping carts. When it comes to purified water, no carelessness is allowed, requiring the largest barrels of drinking water, enough to fill 2 large trucks, and so on. 2. electrical appliances, even generators might not guarantee silence, but 3 or 4 should still be prepared for emergencies. Solar generators are also needed, even if regular generators fail. 3 or 4 of these backups should be prepared. 4 or 5 water purifiers are also essential. If drinking water runs out, it's game over. Power banks are a must, with 40 or 50 on hand, along with 50 tablets or phones. Download popular novels, TV shows, and movies from major platforms to pass the time, or else you might not die from bites but from sheer boredom. Radios should also be prepared. In the previous life, it took about a year for the country to stabilize, and it was only then that military rescue messages came through the radio. By that time, however, the surviving population was less than 1/10,000th of the original. 3. Daily necessities. Prepare 300 pieces of clothing for each season: spring, summer, autumn, and winter, plus 100 comfortable pajamas of various styles, 50 sets each of bed sheets, duvet covers, and quilts. Stock up on feminine hygiene products and similar items, filling 4 or 5 shopping carts. 4. Regarding renovation, for double security, both the main door and glass were installed with the latest anti-theft doors and windows, making it impossible for either vehicles or firearms to break through. The hidden door in the basement was also constructed with the strongest and most durable materials, ensuring that even if the main door is breached, there's still the basement for concealment. Initially, I considered installing electric fences around the house, but fearing it would be too conspicuous, I opted to install them only indoors, so even if intruders break in, the electricity could take out a few. The workers were puzzled, but when I mentioned that wealthy people have their eccentricities, they showed a mix of understanding and disdain. 5. Weapons. As a young lady from a wealthy family, even though she knew some basic martial arts, it would be utterly ineffective in a world overrun by zombies. She could only buy a few knives to comfort herself. As for other aspects, they will be gradually added later. Just as I had expected, on the 6th day after returning home, while I was still staring at the surveillance footage and remotely directing the workers with the renovation, I received a call from the class monitor. On the other end of the line was his slightly regretful voice: "Lena, when the system asked us to choose our cheat abilities back then, why didn't you come ask for my opinion? Then we could have." His words were full of regret, as if choosing a cheat ability that matched his would have meant we could have been together. I couldn't help but feel a little amused, but during the call, I still feigned a somber tone. "Back then, I was foolish and didn't have many close friends to discuss things with. You were the best, class monitor. No one else even bothered to stay in touch with me. You're truly kind. No wonder the class representative, that big celebrity, is so devoted to you." Indeed, outstanding men never lack admirers. Indeed, after her transformation, the class representative's first thought was to enter the entertainment industry. With her beauty maxed out, she simply wandered around outside a talent agency and was immediately handed a business card by a scout. Within just a few days, she officially debuted. Her appearance caused a sensation throughout the entertainment industry. Thanks to her stunning looks, her Weibo followers skyrocketed to nearly 30 million in just a few days, making her the hottest new star. As for the class monitor, her boyfriend, after coming into contact with Uncle Chan's company, he miraculously recovered from the brink of death. It wasn't until a few days ago that my parents finally believed my words. That night, our family truly broke down in tears. After the tears, my parents insisted on returning despite my protests. When Jack learned of my concerns, he fell silent for a moment before finally managing to persuade them to stay. He then began preparing everything needed to defend against the zombies abroad. "Lena, if you're willing, I can protect you too, but just don't let Susie know." What he meant was for me to be the other woman. What a pipe dream. I couldn't help but roll my eyes and said, "That wouldn't be right, class president. Someone as dumb as me shouldn't be with you. I'm already so happy that you reached out to me. My parents have already planned my future for me. They might." "Thank you, class president. I'll always be grateful to you." As I spoke, a sob crept into my voice. On my other phone, I was still texting the class representative things like, "Thank you for caring about me, you and the class president." Just as I expected, before he could say anything else, another call came in, and he hurriedly hung up. I couldn't help but sneer, hoping they'd be locked down 3 weeks later too, perhaps for surveillance, or perhaps by coincidence. Some of my classmates started buying apartments in this neighborhood. Sometimes when I went out to meet delivery drivers, I'd run into them. However, they didn't seem particularly concerned about my actions. Maybe seeing that I wasn't wandering around recklessly made them pay less attention to me, but the alarm bells in my head were ringing. Once when I was transporting food supplies, they happened to see me. I had to explain that I disagreed with the arranged marriage my family set up, and in their anger, my parents froze my cards and dismissed our household staff, forcing me to use those gold items to buy necessities. At this point, I couldn't help but feel grateful for my foresight in exchanging a pile of gold, ensuring I wouldn't starve to death. When they found out I had indirectly used a golden finger, they merely asked about it. Now, with their newfound abilities, they began to shine in various fields, and during their busy times, visits to the suburban villa became less frequent. There were only 3 days left before the apocalypse would erupt. By now, all my belongings had been moved. Each time, I took advantage of the midnight hours when fewer people were around, first transporting them by truck to my current residence, then slowly moving them piece by piece to the small villa using a handcart. The occupancy rate in the neighborhood was low. Even if someone later took notice of me, they would only come to this side and wouldn't think to check the other area. My parents had everything prepared, but knowing that I would soon be facing this apocalypse alone, unsure if we would ever see each other again in this lifetime, they couldn't help but shed tears. I also felt a pang of sorrow, but I tried my best to cheer them up, urging Jack to take good care of them and promising that we would definitely reunite in 2 years. With only 5 hours left until the apocalypse, the weather was clear and sunny. I had already moved into this villa, and the thought of those people turning into mutants soon made me tremble with excitement. Out of humanitarian concern, 3 days ago, I had my younger brother post a warning about the impending apocalypse on foreign websites. Given the unusual events of this period, with extraordinary talents emerging in various fields, most people dismissed it as a joke. Still, I hoped someone would take it seriously and stay alert. At this point, the people in the class suspected it was me, but they had no evidence. Plus, everyone was busy and planned to deal with me later, but in the end, they never got the chance, because the apocalypse was coming. When the first scream erupted, the class monitor called immediately, sounding frantic, "Lena, where are you? There are people biting others on the streets." I am at home. I pretended to be clueless, acting as if I knew nothing about the outside world. "Don't move, stay at home. I'll come to you." When the class monitor asked me, I could hear the sobbing of the study committee member nearby. As the car engine started, I heard screams one after another. After being forced to listen to a round of screams, through the surveillance, I saw that quite a few people had already gathered at my former villa. Because someone had seen me talking to the construction workers before, they inevitably became suspicious. I had no choice but to put on a show by installing a large door there, claiming that I was afraid being home alone, even fearing that my parents might hire someone to kidnap me, hence the installation of a security door. Right now, as someone in the class group chat starts revealing that my home is safe and has plenty of food, those already in the neighborhood instinctively start moving toward my place, while those outside can only curse and seek help. By this point, some people's special abilities have already begun to fail, offensive abilities have completely stopped working, and even though non-offensive abilities have also failed, no issues have been noticed yet. By the time about a dozen people had gathered outside my door, shouting in the group chat for me to open up and stop pretending to be dead, I was already crying to the class monitor on my phone. "Monitor, there are so many people, I'm scared, I don't dare open the door, what should I do? When are you coming? I'll only open the door when you get here." Hearing my words, the monitor's tone softened, though it remained urgent. "Lena, listen to me. Wait until I get there before opening the door, understand?" I pretended to be terrified. "Okay. Squad leader, hurry over here, hurry over, or how else will the show begin?" I also thought about locking them outside. Their screams when they turn would make a delicious feast for the zombies, but that would be too easy, far too easy for them. I will lock them inside the house, where they will endure the panic of food shortages while living in fear of the zombie threat, a group of people dying while tormenting each other. I lie on the living room sofa. All the glass in this villa has been replaced by sturdy, one-way security mirrors. Through the uncovered window, I can clearly see the scattered zombies wandering the neighborhood. In life, they likely had little defense. Even as zombies, their bodies bear little blood, mindlessly following their instincts to search for the living in the neighborhood. It is somewhat tragic, but I cannot save others. I hope the information I asked my younger brother to share will be taken seriously by someone, thereby reducing casualties. I set my phone to silent mode while using another phone to call my parents abroad. Despite their efforts to stay calm, They never expected that zombies would actually come. We knew the internet would soon be cut off, and there was no telling when we'd be able to reconnect, so we kept the video call connected until the signal was lost. When the squad leader arrived, those people had already exhausted themselves from banging on the door. Even though the occupancy rate in the suburbs was low, their loud thumping naturally attracted some zombies. As the zombies began closing in on them, they had no choice but to rely on their physical fitness from exams, swiftly climbing up the tree in my yard. At least they valued their lives enough to stop cursing me, though their expressions remained twisted and ugly. He hid in the car until the zombies wandered off elsewhere before asking me to open the door. I remotely controlled the gate. Slowly letting it open, a group of people leaped down from the trees like wolves. Disregarding the loud noise that might attract zombies, at the moment the door closed, they could still see the crimson eyes of the zombies pressed against the door crack. At this moment, the class monitor, who had finally managed to get inside, scanned the room and shouted, "Lena, where are you? What are you shouting for? Aren't you afraid of attracting zombies?" As I slammed the door shut with all my might. It was at least controllable while the power was still on. The class monitor didn't expect my attitude to change the moment he entered, feeling slightly uneasy. "Then where are you?" "Naturally, I'm hiding, in this dog-eat-dog society. If I don't hide, am I just waiting to be devoured by others?" The monitor's face darkened. "Lena, stop joking around. It's precisely at times like these that we should unite. Don't you know that?" "Monitor, I understand the reasoning, but I just don't like hearing it." As my disguise was torn away, the class monitor seemed to realize something. His face already darkening, the surveillance footage didn't show much, but his voice was full of anger. "Lena, stop joking around. Where the hell are you?" I fell silent. Perhaps the class monitor, in his rage, hadn't noticed that his face had begun to flush with blood, and as for the study committee member, his girlfriend, the backlash was especially severe. Her skin had started to sag like rotting flesh, her eyeballs swelling to 3 times their usual size. Her entire body seemed to have gained 300 pounds, bloated like an inflated monster. Her shrill voice, even through the phone, stabbed at my eardrums. Not only that, but the zombies outside grew even more excited, their guttural growls and pounding on my front door intensifying the class monitor's torment. He intended to cover the class representative's mouth, but was frightened by her appearance. Soon, the others began to react as well, with the most gruesome being the one with X-ray vision. His eyeballs exploded directly, splattering a large cloud of blood across the living room. The cries of agony and terror from the crowd, mixed with the excited pounding of the zombies, echoed over half the neighborhood. Watching the group scream and mutate on the surveillance feed, I couldn't help but burst into laughter, growing louder and more uncontrollable. "Class president, you all really look like a pack of stray dogs." I lay on the sofa, watching the people endlessly scrolling on their phones, who seemed like monsters, yet also as ridiculous and foolish as clowns. At this moment, the class monitor snapped back to reality, clutching his head. His eyes widened almost as much as the academic committee members, but he still managed to muster a bit of strength to ask, "Why are you unaffected?" "I didn't use any cheats." I patted the gold beside me. Even though they couldn't see it, the monitor still noticed the sound of my tapping, but as I finished speaking, the pile of gold gradually turned into mud, eventually dissolving into a wisp of ash, vanishing within the room. I covered my lips. "Oh no, class monitor, now I can't show it to you. It's gone." "Not enough, still not enough. These people deserve even worse fates." The study committee member broke down, voice hoarse. "If looks could kill, I'd be dead 100 times over. But I don't care. Why are you doing this to us? What did we ever do to you?" "Lena, you ungrateful wretch. We're in the same class. You knew the system was faulty. Why didn't you warn us? Why?" Lena, save me, save me. I'm now one of the rising elites in City A. Save me, Lena, you'll die a horrible death. I'll haunt you even as a ghost." The class monitor was on the verge of losing all rationality, his entire head swollen like a pig's, yet still deluding himself with affection. "Lena, forget everything else. Don't you know how I feel about you? I won't hold what you're doing to us against you. Just come save me now, and I swear I'll—" You betrayed me. You really do like that bitch Lena, don't you? You're not allowed to look for her. You're not allowed to go to her." Before I could even speak, the loving couple on the surveillance feed began viciously attacking each other. The class representative's body had swollen to twice her original size, and despite her rotting skin, a single punch from her sent the class monitor's eye socket bleeding. The next second, he spat out a mouthful of blood, watching their miserable state. I sighed with slight regret. My dear classmates, didn't we agree to stay united and help each other? What happened? How did it turn into a dog-eat-dog fight? Feigning surprise, my tone even carried a hint of schadenfreude. But as your former companion, I naturally don't want to see you die like this. I left a month's worth of food in the kitchen, originally meant for a party. Why don't you go check it out? After speaking, those who still had the strength to move hurried to the kitchen to fight for food. The class representative, exhausted from her earlier actions, couldn't keep up with the others due to her heavy, sluggish body. Meanwhile, the class monitor's eyes had gone blank, blood and saliva dripping from the corner of his mouth as he panted heavily at the class representative. The days to come would be hell. My dear classmates, do your best to survive. Most of the time, I hid in the basement of the villa, turning a deaf ear to the chaos outside, repeating the same routine of eating, washing, and waste disposal day after day. My contact with my parents was cut off a few days ago. Now, all I can do is pray for their survival while struggling to stay alive myself. Although most of the time was still quite dull, there were initially intruders who attempted to break down the door. Perhaps it was the curtains I had drawn, or the sound of the generator starting up that convinced them there must be living people inside. But no matter how hard they tried, even with firearms, they either ended up dying at the hands of zombies or being electrocuted to death by the electric grid I had installed on my door. On the other hand, the villa was far from as leisurely as my situation. It could be described as nothing short of a living hell. At first, the class representatives still held some affection for the class president. Using their physical advantage, they would occasionally share a small portion of the seized food with the now irrational class president. But by the 7th day, food began to run short, despite being disfigured by the backlash. A few of the dozen or so men in the villa still had some combat ability left. Driven to desperation, they could still stand toe-to-toe with the class monitor. In the end, however, they compromised, allowing only a small amount of water to be given to the class president daily, just enough to keep him alive. By the first month of the apocalypse, even though they had been very frugal with their food supplies, they were already on the brink of running out. At this point, they would kneel before the surveillance cameras every day, begging for my mercy. When met with my heartless mockery, their pleas would turn into endless curses. The days stretched on, swinging back and forth between these two states. Occasionally, in a rare moment of kindness, I would tell them about a hollow in the tree they had climbed earlier, where several bags of instant food were hidden. Ignoring the danger of zombies outside, they would stubbornly insist on venturing out. Fortunately, it's not far. Even if the zombies charge, just push one out, and you can save yourself. Later, as I showed more and more kindness, the distance they had to go to find food became farther and farther, until only 3 or 4 people were left alive. They dared only to hide in the villa, moaning and begging me to save them. Meanwhile, I ate instant noodles, lounging leisurely in a small room in the villa, watching their performances on the surveillance feed, far more entertaining than the dramas downloaded on my phone. Although living in the basement feels very safe, I occasionally go to a sunlit room to bask in the sunlight. After all, staying in the dark for too long would take a toll on my health. Sometimes when I see helicopters circling outside, even though I know the government won't launch a rescue operation now, I still feel somewhat disappointed. Watching those people beg desperately might be amusing at first, but after seeing it too often, it becomes rather dull. When I opened the surveillance feed again a few days later, the scene before me nearly made me vomit. By then, the class monitor had already been dead for who knows how many days, with not a single patch of intact flesh left on the body. Faintly, I could even see insects hovering over it, but the class representative didn't care. His face covered in festering sores seemed to weep, yet his mouth never stopped gnawing at his flesh. The others clung to each other, biting and devouring, rolling into a tangled heap while emitting sharp, indistinct noises. Occasionally, their faces flashed into view on the camera, but they were so blurred it was impossible to tell who was who. At this moment, even the moans of the zombies outside sounded far more pleasant than this. "Won't let you go, won't." Someone was speaking, but the words were almost inaudible. The biscuit in my hand instantly lost its appeal, and waves of nausea churned in my stomach. Let go? Who exactly isn't letting whom go? How ridiculous. In their past life, they met the same fate, death, only it came more easily. The moment the zombies appeared, they lost all ability to resist and were bitten to death alive. Even though I let them live a little longer this time, they still vented all their resentment on me, just like before. But this time, I'm the one who survives. The zombies continued to bang on the door outside until the voices inside grew fainter. but the stench of blood grew heavier. The zombies' sharp, grating scratching at the door finally ceased the moment the corpses began to rot. I stretched deeply, the sunlight falling on my face, and I couldn't help but feel that the future would surely be bright. The day the apocalypse ended came 2 years later, when I heard the voice of the national spokesperson on the radio again. I couldn't hold back my tears. After all, by that point, 2 years of solitary, monotonous life had nearly driven me, an adult, to the brink, as the national leader announced that scientists had developed a serum to combat the zombies. Helicopters circled over cities one after another, searching for survivors to establish new safe zones. At this time, although communication with foreign countries has not yet been restored, I believe that sooner or later, we will reunite. At this moment, the system that had been silent for 2 years suddenly spoke. Congratulations, player, for completing the counterkill. A new dungeon is about to open. By the time I realized what was happening, I was once again facing a group of all too familiar people. Everyone looked at each other, some with troubled expressions, others still laughing and joking as usual. Then, the voice from the sky appeared again. Chosen ones, if you could have one superpower, what would you want? That's all the story. What do you think of this story? Share with me in the comments section. What would you do if you were in this situation? Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.